Hey, Ghost Machine fans, this one's for you. Welcome to the Ghost Machine Fans Podcast, episode 120. We are feeling filled with youthful exuberance after experiencing the travails of Ghost Machine's unbelievable team of kids. Zach Halo, Rose Hornsby, Ritchie Rocketfeller, and Tommy the $1 Trillion Kid, Townsend. It's time for the summer crossover to come to an end with a deep dive into the $1 Trillion Kids second chapter. I'm Nick, and as usual, I'm joined by my better half, Snoggle. My dear, what do you think of this fearsome foursome of youthful teens?
I like it. And I think it is very teens going on an adventure-esque. Like they very instantly, at first they hate each other and now they like each other and are friends.
After finding common ground.
Right. Which is wonderful.
Yeah. So excited to talk to you all about the $1 Trillion Kid number 2 today. But before that, as usual, we have a shout out to a friend of ours who is a stranger on the internet. And that's the account on Instagram, Kim's Collectibles. Now, I do believe we may have mentioned this creator once, many months ago, maybe over a year ago. And that is spelled Kyms Collectibles. So KYMS Collectibles, plural, just the way it sounds, all one word, no dots, no underscores or any of that. And Kim does these really cool posts where there's like a collage of comics in the background, like in a really cool comic room. And then they'll put the issue prominently displayed right there in the post. So, for example, recently Kim collaborated with us on 2 Invincible team-up covers, Red Coat 17, and then the Hyde Street Invincible team-up cover as well, Hyde Street 11. And they're really tasteful, well put together posts, and it was kind of Kim to collaborate with us on those too. And so make sure to check that out because Kim posts a lot of non-Ghost Machine covers that are really cool as well.
We love it.
But enough about Kim, because Snoggle is back in the newsroom.
So today is Wednesday, August 19th, which just so happens to be the release date for Hornsby and Halo number 15, which features the first full appearance of the Deadtones. That is definitely a key book for all Ghost Machine fans out there. So I would highly recommend getting your hands on it.
Big deal. It's a big deal. They've only been hinted at. Comic book collectors would call it a cameo appearance. We've only seen the Deadtones here and there. And just as a reminder for everybody, that looks to be the monster-themed rock group. There's like a Medusa, there's like a Frankenstein, there's like a vampire in there, there's all the things. And so you definitely want to grab Hornsby and Halo 15 because it's their first official full-on appearance. And if you recall, when we spoke a few weeks back to Peter Snaberg, he had mentioned being very enthused about drawing this issue and these new characters. So it's a key book. You got to grab it.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
And one more tidbit of news is that there has been a Jean Genie one-shot announced to be coming out in 2027. But we're going to talk a little bit more about that character in a second when we do our cover rundown. Also, we wanted to take a second and mention that we know we are a week behind release date issues, and that's because we wanted to have that awesome spotlight on The Soulless, Lamont McGee's new book coming out next year. So that means that we're doing $1 Trillion Kid 2, the conclusion on the Unbelievables crossover today, and then a week from today, on Wednesday, August 26th, we're going to be doing Hornsby and Halo 15 with those Deadtones, and we'll be right there back caught up for y'all. And so before we talk about the $1 Trillion Kid number 2, we have to talk about the 4 fine covers that are available to you out there in the world of local comic book shops if you still need to get your hands on one. So that first cover is a beauty. Did you see that Francis Manipool joint, Snoggle?
I did. It's all the kids.
It's all the kids and Sterling.
The teenagers.
And the robot, right?
Yeah, they're battling.
Really amazing when you see a cover like this and you know that the creator of it, the artist behind it, penciled it, inked it, and colored it. Like there's so much that goes into something like this. I love it. And in this scene, they're all fighting against Sterling because he's still malfunctioning, and Tommy's reaching for what presumably is like a shutdown button or something like that. But it makes me, as does the issue, want to have more story of these 5, like the 4 kids and the robot, and what they could do. I think that would be fun.
Absolutely. Like some sleepover some sleepover books.
Yeah.
They're just like having a weekend trip.
Right.
Kind of be funny if it was like, okay, well, even though all of these kids are truly unbelievable, they're going to summer camp for the weekend. They surely couldn't get in trouble there.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because they would still be doing normal stuff. Like the Teen Titans trying to fit in schoolwork and all that kind of into their world is a little bit harder. These folks are still off the radar. I'm envisioning Sterling having to like come in and tell them all it's bedtime, and then thinking, why do we have a bedtime with everything they've been through?
Yeah.
Speaking of the Deadtones, though, that Medusa looking, I think the character's name is Medi, on that B cover by Yvonne Hayes is super awesome.
Yeah, I really like this cover. I like the skeleton mariachi band. So cute. First ghost coming out the front really pops out. So we don't know a lot about First Ghost yet, but the red tattoos on his arm feels like magic.
At least I hadn't noticed it before. Did you notice how his Chuck Taylor-esque shoes have a pentagram instead of the Converse symbol?
Oh, yeah.
Pretty neat. And looks like there's several other Deadtones in the scene, too. And the invaders, y'all, are peeking out on the right.
Very exciting.
And this was one of those connecting covers that Yvonne did for the 4 different issues in the crossover. So if you put them next to each other, it creates quite the tableau.
And that the seat cover I really like. It's everyone riding the roller coaster to school with a very serious robot in the front.
Yeah, I like how the robot's holding on for dear life. Like Sterling is nervous to be in the roller coaster.
He's scared. Zach's scared, which is funny because he's a demon.
It's true that not all the faces are smiling that are back there. Made me think that one day maybe they'll all just settle down and ride to school on a roller coaster together. Like,
now that would be unbelievable.
Ooh, and the D cover. Did you see that character study?
Yeah, I like it a lot. I like the color.
Yeah, I like the fact that they made her purple with those white looking tattoos. Like it looks like there's a note that says white symbols.
Purple with purplish eyes too. Like I love that because obviously Genie is being drawn throughout the history. They've been all different colors, but as I'm certain a lot of people in my generation, when they think of a genie, they think of the blue genie from Aladdin.
Right.
Like their blue is what it feels like in my mind. So I saw purple and I was like, yes, I love her.
And this is the character that we saw in a scene previously, like a 1-panel scene where she was talking about how she was happy to have the apartment, but her lamp was a lot more roomy or spacious or something. Now, after seeing that cover, Snoggle, are you pretty stoked about that one shot?
Very stoked.
I like this character a lot because it's never the genie's story. You know, it's always at the end of the story they get free, but you never really get to hear their story, and that's the story that I
No,
want.
you don't.
Good on you, Francis Manipool. And don't forget, Ghost Machine fans, that's a 1 for 20 retailer incentive variant. So if you were able to get your hands on one, it is definitely hard to find. And those are the 4 fantastic covers available to you if you have yet to get your copy of the issue, which makes this your official spoiler pause for $1 Trillion Kid number 2. All right, we're here. We made it. Snoggle, tell us who put together this fine work with a creator roll call.
Our creators are none other than Jeff Johns, Peter J. Tomasi, and Francis Manipool. Jeff and Peter on the story. So Stefano Simeone is our artiste. Brian Cunningham is our editor. Rob Lee is back, as usual, our king of letters. And Steve Blackwell, the designer of the book.
Best editor in the business and lettering royalty. There was quite a bit of more variety in the lettering in these more recent issues of The Unbelievables as well, because Rob really does a good job of character differentiation through lettering, in my opinion.
Whenever it's him kind of telling over the story, it's like that green letter box. And he didn't have to choose purple font, but you know what? He did, and I like it.
So we were just talking about a totally different universe last week. There's been a lot going on this summer with this crossover. So where did we leave off? Because isn't there like a robot war we think is going on?
Yes. So at the beginning of the crossover, Tommy initially finds Rose and Zach, right? And then Rose and Zach are kind of, I guess their parents don't care that they're going on a cross-country road trip because they're like, hey, we're going to Washington and we're going to go see about this other future family. They make their way to Washington and they meet the Halos. And then, unfortunately, Sterling gets infected, right? So that's where we're at.
He's been infected, we think, with some sort of virus technologically, which is causing him to attack. And we think there's something to do with more robots in a factory. And Grandpa Rodney has also alluded to that in his time, the future from now, that there was a robot war that he's worried is going to start earlier.
Oh, yeah. I really like how this first page begins. It's a little synopsis of what's been going on with him prior, where he's like doing his quick recap, saying, hey, things have gotten a little bit complicated over the last few days. I do think this is so sad because he says when your life goes off the rails, it doesn't do it slowly, it does it all at once. And it shows a picture, it goes to him with his real mom, his real dad, and his sister, whose name we know is Tabitha, by the way. And then it goes to him sitting in the dark all alone, and there's like no color. Everything is so sad. Like, that stinks.
It's very sad. It made me feel like they were kind of catching us up, you know?
Yeah. But it
And
really puts you immediately into the kid's overall mindset. Is like he's alone. Then it puts you right back in it with where they're at right now.
and he does mention that ghost because he's on that last panel on that setup page. He says to Sterling, "Do you believe in ghosts? I think this one rides a skateboard." So they're starting to cross the wires a bit.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
And ultimately, a virus from tomorrow, not the sniffly sneezy kind, but the kind that rewrites robot brains and tells them the world needs fixing by breaking it first, is what is happening to Sterling. But we quickly learn that in the future, a virus started an android war, a big one, and there's something called the Black Vault Pod.
I like how it says, now Sterling thinks it's time to start this war, or start it, about a century early, which means we're officially out of small problems.
There's this thing called the Black Vault Pod. It says activated and secured, uploading AI blueprint and hardware package, initiate distribution. So it looks like this, whatever this is, existed in the past because it's been activated in the past, even though the intent was for it to be activated, I guess, in the future.
Who knows? That's
Because,
just where he knew where the robots were, apparently.
well, but it's this robot factory thing that comes alive in the current time. So it was
Yeah.
laying there in wait, and something has triggered it as a result of Sterling being connected to this network or whatever. It's even like a countdown starts. Like it says 15 minutes, 33 seconds until war begins.
And you still get, while all of that is happening, the voiceover from Tommy, where he says, we have to stop him, save Sterling, and somehow, some way, find my family.
Yeah, I do. I liked how that kind of ties it all together.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just, oh yeah, there's another crazy thing and I'm a rich kid with a robot, blah, 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 blah.
I love how it's like, that really was a lot that was unloaded, right? And he goes, oh, and one more thing, because there's always one more thing. We found a drone earlier that wasn't one of mine and is watching us. That's alarming.
Yeah, and that's the one that was floating there that they talked about. But that ultimately leads them to being in Tommy's trillionaire mobile, right?
Mm-hmm.
The super vehicle thing that he's got with the giant band-aid on it.
Yeah.
And it looks like they have a transponder on Sterling because he put a thing on him, and the signal's strong, but they're saying it's getting stronger. And Grandpa Rodney thinks it's a robot factory. And when he says that, Rachel Rockefeller says, they're being built every day, Dad. We knew they were coming. And I felt like that was kind of a neat allusion to our actual reality a little bit.
And he's mad because he was in the Robot Wars, so he has like a bit of a different angry feeling about it. He's being pretty tough on Tommy.
He's been pretty tough on Tommy, but I completely agree with it. You're talking about Grandpa Rodney being tough
Yeah.
on Tommy, right?
Yeah.
Well, his point, he's giving him a hard time for basically acting without thinking. But the thing that really resonated with me there was he's like, hey, you want to find all these people that are hidden for a good reason. So you need to do it responsibly or you could affect them. And this is a really good example of that. Like it's not, he does emphasize, I love the way that Peter wrote it. He's like, because Rachel tries to be like, no, he's just a kid. And Rodney's like, he's a kid who's only concerned about his family and unleashes that angry robot on us. I mean, when you think about it, when you have that kind of wherewithal that Tommy has, if you have the best intentions, but you're negligent or careless, you could really hurt some people and mess up their lives.
I agree. Maybe I'm being a little too motherly on this, but Tommy's like, Sterling's not an angry robot. I mean, you can tell he's just doesn't trust any robot at all. That's what they're built for, kid, to make you trust them. Then they become a weapon, which kind of makes me feel like there's a backstory there, you know?
Well, there's definitely a backstory there. They're alluding to a significant aversion to that technology in their time. And I think it also makes sense that they would feel that way. And then their enemy, Raina and her husband, are pro tech and pro like becoming tech. Whereas,
But it is kind of a juxtaposition, which will be talked about later because he literally has like a robot leg.
yeah, and then something even more ironic happens to that later as we see.
Yes. We won't skip ahead, but it's like you're upset. Okay, valid. But I don't know. He just keeps on going. Like the situation's here. You shouldn't have come to our house looking for trouble. I get it. He wasn't thinking, he is just a kid. But I do like the fact that Rachel brings that up at some point. Like, Dad, he's literally, or she says, Rodney, he's a kid. It's not her dad, it's her father-in-law. But then they make it, Black Vault Robotics.
Well, that's very, very, very significant because it clarifies that whatever we see in the beginning, Black Vault pod activated and secured in the middle of a pine tree forest, is definitely happening in that period. And whatever Black Vault Robotics did, they must be connected, I would assume, to the future somehow, because
I would agree.
Otherwise, why would something in the past be activated by something that in that time connecting with something from the future?
I do think the writing here is extremely realistic with these teenagers coming together, because whether Rodney meant to do it or not, obviously the scolding somewhat warranted, right? However, it brought the kids together because then they see them all sad. They're like, first we get Rose, he's not looking for trouble. Then we get Zach, he's looking for family. Like, come on. And then Ritchie, this is where he starts to kind of be on Tommy's side. Yeah, just like, we're looking for Dad. It's showing like he's having some empathy, and I don't know, I like that moment. They're like defending him against the parent, which is a very teenager kid thing to do.
Yeah, and the almost forced common ground of it, Ritchie's saying, yeah, just like we're looking for Dad, and even Rachel then is like, this is not the same as that. And there is some truth to that. But I think that they really do a good job of showing the way that youthful people and, of that young people really band together in situations like this where they feel that common ground. And often it's against the adults who have a different perspective or are not able to effectively communicate with them. And that's funny why Zach says, I'm still not taking orders from a guy named Rodney when he tells them to keep their lights off, their wings, and their horns.
Yeah.
But they do go.
Oh, also, by the way, we discover when they get to the company, it belongs to that other teen inventor, the runner-up. Oh, the runner-up to the world's first trillionaire, Ernest V. Vandenbroek, the fourth.
I bet that dude's responsible for the robot war, or he's like still alive in the future, cybernetically enhanced, or he's like the great great grandson of Jacob, the evil husband tech guy, or something. Because you're right, that means that his number one competitor built the robot factory, and he did it with the intent of starting a war, I guess.
I guess we'll see, right?
Well, we see a little bit inside because that's the other thing. They get right inside. It doesn't seem like there's like a lot of defenses. They just go through some fence stuff.
Well, they're still arguing because Rodney is just like, I'm going in there and I'm gonna murder this robot. Tommy's like, no. And then the kids are like, we're coming in too. Sorry.
And obviously he wanted to be a lot more stealthy, but the one detail we get from Tommy is that he's noticed, however he notices, that these are all prototypes. And so that's a very specific Johnsonian, Thomasian detail that I think speaks to the time difference. But they do know that Sterling is here. And Ritchie says, what my grandpa's trying to say is, with Sterling's programming supercharged with our programming from the 25th century. And then Rachel finishes his sentence by saying, we could be witnessing the first shot of the robot war.
No time to waste. Let's split up and find Sterling. A very ominous bubble without seeing him. No need to, Tommy. I found you. Attack!
Yeah, I really like these scenes where like characters are flying through the air. I feel like Stefano's style is very, very good for that.
Yeah, it's really fun too. Because he picks up Rachel and Tommy. Rachel's just like, robot bodyguard, your programming's been corrupted.
And I like how Tommy says to him, Sterling, we're family. Family fixes family. And that means that whatever that is, that's a phrase that's important to him, his family, and him and Sterling. I like how we're starting to get a vibe from Zach where he's like a little angsty. Like, nobody tells me what to do.
Everyone tells him what to do. Yeah. And then the next, the movement in this slam. Oh, I love it. And all of them with their various noises.
Yeah, this is really a page that highlights Rob Lee's excellence.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah,
Rachel, I mean, we need to power it down.
Because we've got powering down, zapping sounds. We've got like a KOOM. When that's happening, we got the sound of Rodney smacking Sterling in the head a couple of times and amidst all that. And even the motion of the bat or whatever that is that he's hitting him with, Stefano does a pretty cool job with that. And in that moment, Rodney still says something. In the middle of all this, he says, every machine starts with a promise. Then somebody pays for it. Like, whatever happened in the robot war made iRobot look pretty tame, I'm guessing.
I'm guessing so as well. And then he gets zapped. And like, Sterling's just being kind of mean. You are not unbelievable. You are ordinary. Like, oh my gosh. Chill, meme robot dude.
I thought that was interesting. Did you just take that as a little bit of a it's a comic book and we're here and it's awesome, or is it more than that?
I don't think it's more than that.
I don't either. I think it's a little bit of the fourth wall breaking and just referencing the crossover. I don't, because some people would say that means since the term the Unbelievables was on that cave, that maybe it really is like a term that's colloquially used by different, like to describe these groups. And maybe like Sterling is actually speaking to that. But to me, I thought it was just a nod to the crossover. And I thought that was cool.
Yeah. And then we're back at the Rocketfeller's house with Ray and Raina.
And she's starting to remember stuff.
Which gives me pause.
Oh, yeah.
Like, because this is sweet. Her remembering this stuff is sweet.
Kind of. Because Ray tells her that she assumes that Raina wouldn't have wanted to just stay home with her. And she says, I like staying with you. We used to sit for hours and draw. And it's like, uh-oh. And when because even Ray is like, you remember something? And when Raina says she does, she looks a little surprised. And it's like, oh my gosh, what else is she starting to remember?
Mm-hmm.
This is also where we see Ray's clairvoyance just put right out there, which has never happened before. It's always been subtle. And this is much more straightforward. You know what I mean? Like they've never even discussed it. Like it was just a novelty and we've only seen it come up a few times. And Raina straight up says to her, you can see things, can't you, Ray? Things that haven't happened yet. And Ray just says, yes. And she's wanting to know if Papa Rockefeller is ever going to make it back. But Ray says she can't see anything on that yet. And so it's like, interesting. Yeah, I haven't gotten the impression that Ray can like summon that ability. It's more like it seems like she sees stuff as she goes and it's like subtle. To me, this whole scene with Raina, I really liked it, but it was foreboding as heck.
Oh, yeah. Because you're thinking like, does she want to know if he's alive because they need him for the tech? Or does she care about him being alive because it's her brother? Like, holy crap, if she's remembering, does she remember everything?
And what happens when the cybernetic parts of her feel the same connection that Sterling triggered? Or something like that.
Mm-hmm. But they go and get some food and we're back in the battle with all these beautiful, crazy colors.
Yeah, and I did like that. Like you said it before about when he was sitting at the table and he was in the dark. The color in the house that Ray and Raina are in is much more drab.
Yeah.
And then we get to the robot factory. And what's kind of funny is like you think robot factory and you think drab, like you think gray, brown, black, like metal, chink, chink, chink sounds. Like you don't think purples and blues and pinks
Yeah.
and like this makes me want to like play synth wave music in the background while I watch Sterling flying through the whatever, you
Yeah.
know?
It's pretty visually stimulating.
But you know what else is really visually stimulating?
What?
Sterling Jr.
Oh my gosh, right?
Yeah, what did you think of that? I got a kick out of that.
Yeah, just a tiny little. Well, you know what's funny is Sterling Jr. is not entirely small. He came out of the robot and then he was like kid sized.
Yeah. Well, Sterling's pretty big, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it's funny. My creator needs to be stopped. Drone deployment, just straight up drone. And then what's funny, like this, like there's personality built into the robots or programmed or whatever because Junior says we're really going with Junior. So this is presumably the first time that he's been released into the world or whatever. And Sterling says that's the name Tommy decided on. Go kill him for it.
And then obviously now we get to see Rex in action, which is really exciting. Rawr. The junior comes in though and goes, "Hi, Tommy. Sterling says you're interfering with his war. Also, you're grounded."
And Rose saves Rachel, or at least warns her essentially
Yeah.
to get out of the way. But that is a pretty cool way for us to be reminded that the best hero in the family is mom
Yeah.
because she's done like really amazing things even before she had a family, which she then sacrificed those amazing things for.
Yeah.
And she finds a Ellen Ripley esque exoskeleton used for construction stuff.
She goes, "And Rose, call me Rachel."
Yeah, I like that. That made me wonder if maybe they'll be friends. But Sterling is struggling with Rex, and it's funny because he says also his friend weaponized a dog. So and the band-aid that slaps Tommy's mouth quiet is even more hilarious.
Uh-huh. Quiet time, Tommy.
But they
Means they just have those on deck, by the way.
right. Yeah, you'd think they would just have like little blasters. So it looks like they're going to be, they see that all the robots are connected like on the head or whatever. So they go through to
Mm-hmm.
like disconnect, sever it all,
Yeah.
and do all that. And ultimately, though, in the process,
Oof.
Sterling gets his hands on Grandpa. And here's that moment of irony we were talking about earlier.
It shows that there is some sentient there, right? You call machines monsters, but look at yourself. Rips the leg off.
Yeah, and says, let me remove the contradiction. So there's certainly personality there.
Oh,
And
100%. An angry, possessed personality.
it makes you think, presumably, Sterling was programmed by Tommy. And that means Tommy had to program him to be like empathetic and have emotional, simulated emotions or whatever. And so as a result of that, it gives the robot personality that the robot acts on in an emotional way. It's just it makes you wonder like what really comes first. We don't know. Does the intelligence come first or does the other thing?
Yeah.
And I love how he says, your dog is being extremely inappropriate.
I'm a certified flying object.
Really funny when they take the band-aid off of Tommy that made him shut up. He says, if only he could have used one of my ouchless bandages.
Hmm.
But it looks like they have realized in the moment that like Sterling's in there and the virus isn't him, right?
Yeah, so they both being pretty smart young men. We don't stop Sterling. We stop the virus.
And
so how are they going to do that with Junior?
right. And cool, because Zach and Rose are kind of like, we got to put the robot down. And when you really think about it, Zach and Rose could probably just put the robot down.
Oh, yeah.
And so they're Ritchie and Tommy are like kind of have a different mindset about it. And it looks like they must be looking at some sort of diagnostic something, because when Tommy points at it, it is indicating like, no, we still can save him or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they know that Junior's going to go back and dock with him. So what are they doing here? Like they put something in his head?
Basically an antivirus.
So like Rex holds him and then they do that. I gotcha. And then they have some computer terms like root access and bypassing upload packages and things of that nature. And it looks like Rose and Zach are just about to take him out, because he even says war commences in 47 seconds.
Junior, what are you doing? What you're supposed to be doing, Sterling. Following our primary directive, protect Tommy, even from you. Personal drone docked. Ka-choom.
Yeah, and there's the FZZT, which I think is kind of like him slowing down or shutting down or reverting back to Sterling mode. And the first thing Tommy, like when he's awake, just like a parent, Sterling's like, Tommy, where are you? Tommy, I'm so sorry that I did all this. It's just like a parent. It's like a parent who doesn't remember what happened or something. Like as soon as he's back and conscious, where is my kid? Is my kid okay?
Yeah. And they're crying. Oh, Grandpa's just laying there without a leg.
But he's compassionate. He says, how about, this is what Grandpa says. Rodney says, how about we see if robots can learn from their mistakes and rebuild me a new damn leg? But he's smiling too. So it's like accepting of it, And we get a great little wrap up where all the kids are hanging out in the driveway talking about how Tommy's going to go to continue the mission. And they kind of even have like this last panel with Zach throwing his hands up in the air. He says, this is the part where we all promise to stay in touch, right? And Rose says, don't make it weird. Tommy says, too late. And Ritchie says, way too late. Reminded me of like the conclusion of Stranger Things or something when they're all on the roof.
Yeah.
But a younger age.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is interesting. While they're in their little vehicle going, to their next destination, he completed a scan of himself, right? And he said the virus did not originate from future technology. The corruption entered my system days earlier. Dun, dun, dun.
And it is because the Vanderbrook kid started it all. And that's weird because how would he know? He must have had some access to Tommy's stuff prior or hacked in or something.
You know how I think he did it?
How do you think he did it?
Remember how he sent that letter?
Yeah. Oh, you think it was in that? Like, why would he do that? Why would he really?
Yeah.
But then he says he is going to fly to the island of Dr. Moreau. And we know, and that's Vanderbrook, this guy, not Tommy. He tells his pilot, because he's got his own private jet, but it's a black, evil guy private jet, that he wants his plane prepped for the island of Dr. Moreau. And then we get two panels of Dr. Moreau anthropomorphic creatures that are all standing around a grave.
Adorable creatures. Because Dr. Timothy Moreau is in the ground. Now they need to find the great grandson, Max Moreau.
Well, that's interesting because so the animals are all standing around the doctor. They all have cute little one phrase statements that speak to what type of person they are. Like I love how the gator guy says, I'll miss losing arguments. I was clearly winning. And it's like, that's, just a lot about each of their personalities. And Ghost Machines done a great job recently of putting up some cool posts about these characters as well. You should check them out on their socials. But they said they're going to leave the islands to go find Max, like you said. So Ed Vanderbrook or whatever is on the way, and they want to get out because they got to find the descendant of the Doctor.
Now we're back with the Rocketfellers.
Yeah, this was pretty cool. This one, the ending made me feel the way that some of the earlier issues did when it was like having the happy family moments, which were few and far between, but you would see them. And I think nobody, I admittedly had not read a comic book drawn by Stefano Simeone before this one. But when I see the 2-page spread of the rocket ship that he drew,
yeah.
I feel as though that's like somebody just said, hey, there's a rocket ship in there, man. Do what you want to do. And that's what he chose to do. And I really like that. Like a lot of artists would not have made that at all. And it's this giant, fantastic, red, bright, colorful, dynamic, amazing thing. And
they're just going to go fly a spaceship.
That's because Ritchie says to Mom, Tommy said we could use it anytime, and you always wanted to fly one, so I figured you should. And Rachel says, how about now? Is now okay? And Tommy says, now is all we've got.
So cute.
And that's really poetic for a family from the future.
Yeah.
And that next page is really cool with them flying together, over the city.
And then you get one little thing from, again, Tommy, where he's just going back over the adventures and like everything that's ridiculous, hard. And I like how he says, but something funny happened along the way. The more people I found, the less alone I felt.
And then he's going to Chicago on 94 East, been there. And the last page, speaking of feeling, I need more people, feeling less alone, you've got Jean Genie, Invaders, y'all, and the Deadtones. And it even says, coming in 2027, Jean Genie, #1. So that's the origin issue I was talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And meet more of the Unbelievables, the Deadtones in Hornsby and Halo 15, which we're going to be talking about literally a week from today. And Invaders, y'all, and Rocketfellers 14. And there's a tableau of all these characters right on this page. And I think it is fantastic. And it is a great injection of new and exciting things into these two series.
Oh, yeah. Very cool.
I'm very happy I had the lead up from Hornsby and Halo and Rocketfellers, those first 10 plus issues in both to get us here, because I feel like this has even more oomph as opposed to just getting this right away, or, as opposed to just staying on the same path. And it makes me really excited about the future of this universe, which is no longer the Family Odysseys. It is the Unbelievables.
Yes.
But before we wrap up this unbelievable episode, we have a fantastic mail from someone whose name is very fun to pronounce. Would you like to read it, Snoggle?
So our fantastic mail comes from Omri.
You got to say it with some oomph. You got Omri.
Well, I'm not good at accents. You know this from games we've played where you're supposed to use an accent. I can't do it. So anyhow, our fantastic question is, hi, Nick and Becky. I listen to your show every week when I am at work. Thank you for everything you do for the fan community. I imagine it is a lot of hard work. I would like to know, of the characters on the new Unbelievables map, what group of characters you are most excited to see more of, and do you know if they all will be getting their own intro issues like the Genie is next year?
It's a really good
I'll tell
question.
you what I'm excited about. It is a good question. Personally, I am excited about the aliens because I think it's hysterical. I just do. Aliens that are kind of hillbilly, drinking beer in a trailer park. I'm very excited.
I am very excited about that one as well. And that's not conjecture on Snoggle's part, Ghost Machine fans. If you recall, there was a panel of the aliens from the Invaders Y'all thing sitting drinking beer in a trailer park. And it seemed like they got here and well, no, that was our theory. They got here and they liked it better, so they just decided to stay.
Yeah.
But really excited about those. I'm biased. That's mainly for me because, as you may recall, it takes place in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, which is a place that I really like. But I will tell you that I'm excited about the Mad Ghost one because of the bio that we read. I'm excited for what I believe is Unbelievable, and that is in San Francisco on the West Coast. And we've gotten very little about that. Mainly that it sounds kind of like Superman, but more like what if a young person actually was bombarded with extrasensory and capabilities? How would they cope with that? How would they do that? And I like those types of realistic interpretations of that type of thing. So I'm excited about that. Unbelievable and Invaders Y'all are probably my top two. And I think it's a really good question, Henri. And by the way, that's Henry with an I. That's why we're saying it that way, Henri. And thank you, by the way, Henri, for sending us an email at ghostmachinefans@gmail.com with this fantastic question. My assumption, which is purely an assumption at this point, is that every one of the people on this map will probably have an origin issue similar to the genie one because there's a genie. But if not, then they'll all have a dedicated appearance issue for sure. Like what's about to happen with the Deadtones.
Yeah.
And then there's the Holiday Heights. That looks cool. There's a bunch of holiday characters we saw. And other ones as well. So, to be determined. And if you would like to check out all of our other content, you can do so by visiting www.ghostmachinefans.com, where you'll find our social media platforms and our wiki. And if you'd like to join the conversation on Discord, you can find the invite in our bio on Instagram under Ghost Machine Fans or in the announcements on the Ghost Machine Comics Reddit.
And thanks so much for joining us tonight on the Ghost Machine Fans Podcast.
Robot War Podcast.